This practice has many stages and parts. If there's any part that you feel you need to spend more time with, pause the video and restart it when you are ready. You can do different parts. You don't have to finish the whole thing. Just go to a point, and if you find something that you really want to work on, just take it with you as homework. All of these practices function better when they are practiced on a regular basis. And this practice of inner silence is one. Once you become practiced at it, it will make other aspects of life easier. And we begin. Hello, my name is Shir Randir, and today we're going to practice finding inner silence. First of all, find a comfortable seat. If you need to sit up on a chair, that is fine. Whatever you can do to keep your spine erect. You may even sit up against a wall, put bolsters under your bum to lift up your hips. Or if you're really tight, you may practice this laying down with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Just do what you can do to get into this. This practice is called Antar Mouna. It's inner silence. And now it begins. Please close your eyes and keep them closed throughout. Your asana or posture is steady. The position is very steady. Your eyes are closed and your spine is erect. Say to yourself, I am prepared for inner silence. This should be the mood throughout. This first practice is an awareness of the external stimuli. So the external senses, touch, taste, sound. Concentrate on the external sounds and sensations. Do not consider them to be disturbances or distractions. And concentration. With absolute concentration, with total external awareness, do this practice until you find a change in atmosphere of your mind. Do not fight with your senses. Do not struggle with your sense expressions and sense experiences, but become aware or become a spectator of them. You should be aware. You should also awaken the awareness of I am aware. I am hearing. I am aware that I am hearing Shir speaking. In this way, the mind and the senses should be trained to become undisturbed by this sensual experience. Neither the sound or the taste, the touch, or anything else should disturb you at any cost. In spite of the fact that you hear the outer sounds, or that you experience different sensations in your physical body, such as itching, scratching, laziness, do not let them disturb you. Just sit. This practice, this discipline, is known as pratyahara, which means withdrawal of the senses. Sri Krishna, in the second chapter of the Gita, even as the tortoise withdraws its bodies within the framework of the shell, in the same manner the senses should be withdrawn. Not by force, but by a technique, the senses will be withdrawn from the respective objects of senses. The senses should be calmed down by the attitude of I am witnessing the experience of hearing, and I am aware of the sound, the music of birds. I is the third thing in this process. First is the ears. Second is the object of experience, which would be the sound. Maybe the music of the birds, the children next door playing, the train rolling by, or the cars. And the third is the I, who is the spectator, who is the witness of this process of sense experiences. Then, in this way, you should distinctly and deeply and intensely, with classification, develop this threefold awareness in this first stage of inner silence. The experiencer, the object of experience, and the seer of both. The subject and the object, the ears and the sound, the eyes and the form, the skin and the touch, the tongue and the taste, the nose and the smell. Do not let there be any sense of disturbance. This is the introversion of your sense experiences, and this you should do at any time. Do not hate the outer experiences, but look at them with an attitude of a witness or drashta bhava. You will find within a few moments there is an atmosphere of calm, tranquility, and peace, and then you will be ready for meditation. Practice this in your home, at night, or in the evening, in the daytime, in the shed, just wherever you are, amidst your friends or alone. Do not wait for calmness or silence. There will always be noise. There will always be disturbances. The body will shake, but you must develop this attitude of a calm and silent witness. The second stage of Antar Mouna is awareness of spontaneous thought process. You will become aware of your thinking process. You should become aware of your thoughts, the spontaneous ones, the ones that come on their own. You don't have to bring in a thought flow. It'll just do that for you. Let it be spontaneous. Let it be spontaneous. You must remain a silent witness of every thought that is going through your mind. When you become aware of a particular thought, you will have to say to your mind, yes, I am thinking about this and that. If the mind supposedly becomes free of thought, you must try and become aware of that state also. There can come a stage of thoughtlessness, even in the beginner. You are looking at the process of your thoughts, and you are bound to be sure of the thoughts that are passing through. Remain alert all throughout. And the form of this is not to check the thoughts, but to know the thoughts. If sometimes you become absent-minded, and then you revive your consciousness, you can say to yourself, well, I became absent-minded for some time, and during those moments I was thinking about this and that. The mad monkey mind was running. But be aware of all the spontaneous thoughts that you are manifesting on your conscious plane. They do this passively. It is not a force. They are merely manifesting on the conscious plane. They may be good thoughts, or they may be bad thoughts, but those thoughts do not come from anywhere outside. They are expressions of your inner personality. They are expressions of yourself. In the first practice, the sense experience came from outside. And in this, the thoughts are manifestations or expressions of your inner self. So therefore, when you are able to see your own thoughts, you are able to know the content of your personality. If bad thoughts do not come to your conscious mind continually, it means that you have either become a liberated sage, or that the suppression is still there, and the suppression is too tight. The suppression of the subconscious mind are not released. The third practice of Antar Mouna, we are going to work on disposing and creating thoughts at will. I'm going to give instructions and then be silent for a time for you to follow them. If you finish before, just practice the attitude of a witness. Part 3 begins now. Bring to mind any thoughts which you want to think. Don't let them be spontaneous. Bring them by your will. Think this thought over for some time and then dash it off. Do not allow spontaneous thoughts to express and to manifest at all, but create a thought voluntarily at will. Maintain it for some time, brood over the thought, and then suddenly, with a jerk, dash it off. If a spontaneous thought wants to express itself, however good or bad, or interesting, or inspiring it may be, do not let it manifest, but say, "No, not now, thought." Then again, think another thought. Maintain it. Brood over it for some time. And then dash it off. One more time. Create a thought. Maintain it. And when you have thought over it for some time, dash it off. And go on to any other thought, of course, at will. It is not difficult to get rid of good thoughts, but evil thoughts are very stubborn. Once bad thoughts come to your mind at any time of the day, it becomes very difficult to get rid of them. If you practice it for some time, for a month or so, your mind will definitely develop a habit of dashing it off, throwing off, or disposing of the bad thoughts that come up from the depths of your subconscious. This very important exercise in inner silence is unknown to many people. It is an achievement of any aspirant, or anybody for that matter, when they are able to shake off or dispose a bad thought as and when they come to the mind. It is definitely a very very, very great achievement. To awaken good thoughts is not a very great achievement, even for a spiritual beginner, but it is a great achievement when you are able to dispose of evil thoughts. However, for some, good thoughts are hard to come by, and it is a great achievement to find them. But disposing of bad thoughts at will is an even greater challenge, as they will often surface in the mind and try to stick around. Become very aware in your daily life when bad thoughts come up. Perhaps brood for a moment and practice just pushing them out of your mind and finding a place of stillness in those moments. We all have minds. They all try to fight us or try to complicate our lives in different ways at times. It's our jobs as humans to learn to bring stability to these, and this is a beautiful practice for such. In this fourth stage, spontaneous thoughts are to be awakened. We are going to let them be spontaneous. It's not going to be bringing thoughts in at will. Just allow thoughts to come and think about them for some time. But when the point of disposal comes, when you wish to dispose of these thoughts, dispose of them at will. It is not that a particular thought goes away spontaneously. It arrives inspontaneously. However, its departure will depend on your will. This is the fourth stage. Do not only allow bad thoughts. Good and bad both can come from your subconscious mind, and let them come up spontaneously. Inner silence is the fifth stage of Raja Yoga, which is a royal yoga. This is a practice of awareness, pratyahara. When you have perfected this inner silence, then true meditation can begin. It is impossible for anyone to meditate if they cannot withdraw their senses from sense objects. When pratyahara is practiced, then you can come to a state of dharana, which is concentration. And when you can concentrate, it is much easier to meditate. It is difficult when the mind runs wild, and oftentimes we use mantras to settle the mind. This is not that practice. And once we have practiced meditation, samadhi is very close. That enlightenment, that state of peace and balance. Once we practice Antar Mouna enough, and we are practiced with pratyahara, the withdrawal of the senses, we come to a state of dharana, to concentrate, and then meditation can become automatic. Once we practice enough meditation in these states, then samadhi becomes a reality, and samadhi is the climax of meditation, a state of unity with the object of meditation and the universal consciousness. It takes practice. No one Rarely can someone master something in a day. We must find a sadhana, a discipline. And at the moment that meditation dawns, samadhi is at the very threshold of life. Now, we will become aware of our inner space. This is the 5th step of Antar Mouna. Now look within. Awareness of the inner space. Awareness of the inner space. Awareness of the inner space. Be aware of Chitakasha, the space behind your forehead. Be aware of the inner space. Be aware of the colorless and formless inner shape of your psyche, and then be aware of your thoughts. If you think any thought, if a thought comes into your mind, just dash it off. Throw it away immediately without brooding over it. Keep yourself alert, absolutely alert. Alert in the sense that if any thought comes into your mind, you immediately dispose of it. You do not brood over the thought. You do not recognize it at all. A thought comes up and you immediately push it out and down. This is the stage where thoughtlessness is practice. Any thought that comes into your Chitakasha, your mind, the frontal lobe, any thought that manifests from within, and it will manifest, it must be dashed away. If in place of thoughts, forms, and visions come into your conscious plane, then you will have to employ a different method, and that is the method of dissolving the form into the formless. Sometimes you look into your inner space, and this space is devoid of color and form. But at other cases and times, like dreams or like visions, not of coarse ideas and imaginations, but clear-cut forms come to the surface of that consciousness. Supposing that it is a bird, or a woman, or a tree, or a landscape, you should immediately disperse it as if it was a drop of water spilled over a canvas where you have made a picture. Within a moment, you will find that the whole picture and that the whole work of art is dissolved. Therefore, there are 2 different sadhanas in this stage, or practices. One is that you become aware of your inner space. You become aware of your inner space, and if any idea comes in the form of thought or in imagination, you must dispose it. Try to maintain a state of thoughtlessness. Try to maintain a state of thoughtlessness by remaining aware of one thought, that I shall have no thought. This is the real state of inner silence, in which every thought that tries to manifest on the inner silence of consciousness is immediately disposed of, is not to manifest, is not allowed to manifest. The forms and the visions that flow on the surface of consciousness are to be correctly and very properly dissolved in the formless Chitakasha that is within your psychic self. That is your own mental personality, psychic personality. I do not want any thought. I do not want any thought. I do not want to think any thought. Only one thought. Only one thought should be allowed to remain in your consciousness, and that single thought is that I shall have no thoughts. The first stage of inner silence, broadly speaking, is to remain aware of sense experiences with absolute indifference, with an attitude of a witness. Stage 2 is the spontaneous incoming and outgoing thought processes. Stage 3 is thinking at will, brooding over that thought and disposing it at will. Stage 4, incoming of spontaneous thoughts and disposing those thoughts at will. Stage 5, the no mind. Every thought that emanates from your consciousness is to be immediately disposed of. You should not allow your mind to think any thoughts, and if the mind tries to do so, stop it. This is the complete practice of inner silence. Please, open your eyes, relax your body.
If you haven't subscribed, please do. Also know that we have a Patreon and we are accepting supporters. Lowest tier is $5. That keeps things like this being made, helps support this path, this studio, these teachers. Thank you for watching.